Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
And then, boom, boom.
That's excellent, man.
Come on, we're going to do it. They get going. We're going. We're going. We're going. We're going.
It's so funny. I'm never going to not laugh at just how uncomfortable Kevin O'Connell is. Like, should I keep doing it? Should I not? I don't know. Am I on camera? Am I really the Vikings coach yet? I don't know. I don't know what's happening
really agree
right
to work
now.
with Kirk Cousins.
Oh, man. All right. This is a 4-question Friday on Purple Daily, taking you into your long Memorial Day weekend here. And the show is presented by our friends at Surly Brewing Company and also TCL. No matter what you watch, TCL has award-winning TVs for any budget, any space, all with stunning picture quality. Plus, TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, home appliances. TCL bringing you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. TCL.com. All right, boys. Let's get right into it here. In fact, I think we have a couple. Declan, you played a clip on Mackey and Judd earlier from our guy Quasi. So I have 2 questions here regarding Quasi's appearance with Mike Florio. The first question, you played a clip from Mackey and Judd. I can stall for a minute while you upload that clip. So he spent like 25 minutes on Pro Football Talk on their YouTube channel, on Peacock or whatever it was.
Good stuff.
And it was great. I mean, listen, how this plays out, we'll find out in 3 to 5 years, but Quasi is a really likable, smart guy. And he talks pretty openly about his decision-making process and ethos. He's not going to give you a straight answer on, like, which player did you like better in the draft? But let's get to question number 1 here, which is Quasi was asked by Florio why they decided to extend Cousins beyond 2022. And Quasi talked about getting the best version out of Kirk. So let's play this.
But we think the best version of him and surrounding him with other things gives us a really good chance. Ultimately, I can't sit here and tell you I know for certain what that's going to be, but we think that it gives us a great chance to be there at the end with a chance to do it. And so obviously extending him gives us more time, right? A lot of that is just these things don't take off in one day, in 1 month. These are things that take a little. Now they've had exposure together before, and I think the last time Kevin coached him, I think it was all under the same situation where it was a 1-year deal, and Kevin was like, "Look, I want to pour into this guy. I think he's one of the best quarterback guys I've ever been around. So I want to pour into this guy, see what the best he can be, and we'll see what happens in the end." But we thought that was the best path going forward.
So the idea of the best version of Kirk is what they're looking to get out of him the next couple of years. And he said maybe it doesn't click in the first month or two, but we want a 2-year window to get the best version out of Kirk. So here's my question for you guys. Which former or current quarterback is the best version of Kirk Cousins? What's the comp?
Judd, you've used you've used Jeff George before, haven't you?
Have I?
There's a promo that plays.
My genius takes. They leave me as quickly as they
There's
come.
literally a promo on our radio station where Judd compares Kirk to Jeff George.
Okay, then I have.
Should I kill that promo?
Judd is like a closer's mentality host. You know, you throw
Yeah,
takes out. You're not going to recall all the takes. Yeah, exactly.
I'm done the next day. Yeah, Jeff George had the big arm. Now, he was a little bit more of a recalcitrant type than Kirk is. I think Kirk has his own personality issues, but I don't think that he is. Jeff George would.
He was like confrontational, right?
Yeah,
Jeff
stir
George.
things up, and Kirk 1,000% does not do that. So here's the comp, Phil. I'm going to give you. It might not be the same exact comp as far as the player goes, but I think the increased production might be a parallel. When Ryan Tannehill went from the Dolphins, where he was considered, I think, a bust, and Kirk is not a bust, but I'm just saying, to the Titans, where he became a very competent, good QB who is being paid very well now. There was an uptick with, I don't know if it was just coaching with Arthur Smith at the time, who's now the coach of the Falcons, but I mean, there was definitely they took Tannehill, molded him a little bit differently, and maximized him very well. I would say that would be what you would hope for with Kirk, which is now Kirk from a starting point, a better quarterback than that. So I'm not saying he's a bust, but I am saying I think when Kevin O'Connell and Quasi talks about KOC having time to work with Kirk and maximize Kirk, I think that's a fair comp as far as oh my gosh, this guy is good. He's winning. He's consistent now, because Tannehill did have a year or two where he definitely became a far different quarterback than we had become used to as far as record-wise as well.
Yeah, and a lot of the analytics would say the same thing. I mean, Tannehill in 2019, his first year with that Titans system. Now, it helps to have Derrick Henry just beasting and play action.
But a good coordinator in Smith, for sure, right?
Yep. So Tannehill in 2019, he only started 10 games, but he led the NFL in yards per attempt. He averaged almost 10 yards per attempt. Anything over like 7.5, 8 is good, and he averaged almost 10 yards per attempt. And he wound up, he took down some sort of, it wasn't MVP, but he definitely took down like some sort of AP award after the season. I'm going to read you something from listener CJ, who hit me up this morning on Twitter. He sent me this DM. I don't think this is my answer, but it's an interesting answer, and I'll give you who I think in a second. He says, I've been thinking about this Cousins leadership thing, and I would love to hear your opinion about Eli Manning's leadership. In my opinion, he was a mediocre quarterback that rose up in big moments, but he never seemed to be looked at as this galvanizing leader. All of those things are true. But he won 2 Super Bowls and beat Tom Brady twice in those games. What do you think about Eli's leadership and the impact he had on 2 Super Bowl teams? And is there anything he did that Kirk can replicate? Hope this makes the show. So it's funny because Kirk is sort of let's take their play on the field first. Kirk is sort of the opposite of Eli Manning in that Eli Manning was this reckless gunslinger quarterback that led the league in interceptions 3 different times. He had 25 and 27 interceptions in 2 different seasons. I think he may have led the NFL in interceptions the year that they won their first Super Bowl in 2007, too. So Eli was like, throw caution to the wind, not afraid to make, almost to a fault, right? Not afraid to make any throw at any time and just throw a ball up for grabs. That play he made in 2007, where he escapes from pressure, jerseys being tugged at. It's one of the all-time iconic plays in the Super Bowl, right? And he throws the ball down the field, 30, 40 yards. And it was David Tyree goes up and pins the ball to his helmet. I mean, it was kind of lucky. It was everything. That's the type of play that Eli just sort of, just throws the ball up for grabs. I don't know that Kirk throws that ball up for grabs. Kirk would be thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to compound pressure with an errant throw over the middle. In that situation. So I don't know what happened in the playoffs those years where, some of it was luck, but Eli was able to sort of hone in the recklessness and rise up in these playoff seasons of 2007 and 2011 and play the best football of his life. We have not seen that yet at age 34 for Kirk. He has not yet said, all right, everyone, I'm just going to go for it all here, and we're going to beat some teams on the road. So I actually think maybe like a 2016 Matt Ryan is more of a comp. I think from a leadership perspective, Matt Ryan is levels above Kirk. The way that he just go watch Hard Knocks from a few years ago. Eli is an interesting comp, but I don't think Kirk has the Eli gunslinger mentality. What do you think, Declan?
Two people come to mind in 2 different ways here, okay? And bear with me. Perception-wise, they're not the same quarterback-wise, but perception-wise, I think you can actually make a case Jay Cutler and Kirk have similarities in terms of they have great stats, but there's questions about their leadership. There's questions about who they are. Like Jay Cutler kind of had a shrugs like, I don't really care and I don't want to be here moment. And a lot of people despised him for that, right? Like they wanted him to be a little bit more galvanizing and a little bit more caring about the football team. But also Jay Cutler had a tendency to sabotage games, throw a lot of picks. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, like his statistics and looking at him right now, like they're pretty damn good. Like Jay Cutler had a pretty dang good career when it was all said and done. He was a more gunslinger and was more pro to take some risks than Kirk was. And the other one for me, honestly, is Tony Romo. Tony Romo has amazing statistics, dude.
I like that one.
And I think Tony,
I'm a Romo
again,
stan, too.
these aren't perfect, but Tony had a little bit better leadership qualities than Kirk, if you were asking me. Like, if I had to rank him on a leadership scale, I would take Tony's leadership over Kirk's leadership. But you look at, if you took away the names and put the stats next to each other of Tony Romo and Kirk Cousins, I think a lot of people would have a tough time figuring out who is who.
Now, I think the bad news there would be, all right, so if the best version of Kirk is Tony Romo, then he's not winning a Super Bowl, right? Because Tony Romo is kind of known for... The funny thing about Romo is people remember him for the big mistakes late in games, the 5 times that he threw just a game-altering interception. But he actually ranks as one of the great fourth-quarter statistical quarterbacks in NFL history. He was a great fourth-quarter comeback quarterback. He led the league in fourth-quarter comebacks at the peak of his career. He had 5 in one season. So I think what we're all kind of saying here is something similar, which is the best version of Kirk is a more loosey-goosey thrower of the football. He was second in the NFL last year in interception percentage, meaning like lowest interception percentage. Yep. But if you look at a list of, some of the other guys, it's like Teddy Bridgewater is on that same top 5, and there's a couple other just random conservative quarterbacks. So can we get a little bit more of a loosey-goosey, hey, if you throw 14 picks, but you tap into more upside, that's okay. Yeah. Matthew Stafford.
I think the reality is that the best version of Kirk Cousins is that KOC tricks him up like you would a car. Like I think there's more of a
some
chance.
Spinner rims on him and like a spoiler.
Yes. I think KOC is the guy who goes out and gets the classic car, but it needs some work.
Some subwoofers.
Yes. I think you
dual exhaust pipes,
the car.
Tinted windows,
big
some
wheels, the big wheels where it's got like the old thing that where it's big
spinners.
In back. Yeah,
we need exhibit.
Got the spinners going, all that. Tricked up Kirk. I think that's what you're hoping for.
It always kind of bothered me and still does. The people who, and by the way, I am an economical car guy. I am not a guy that's like ever going to buy expensive cars, even if I could, afford expensive cars. But if you drive a Camry, or more specifically, you drive a Honda Civic, it just looks kind of weird when you put rims and spoilers on a Honda Civic.
Yeah, it's not necessary.
And track lighting,
right?
You're driving a Honda Civic, and that's fine. You don't need to put don't put rims on a Honda Civic.
But that's a quarterback who can't be tricked up, right? Like there are some guys where you're just like you're you, and that's cool, but you're a serviceable guy, so we're not going to try and trick you up. Like with Kirk, I think what O'Connell sees is this. Oh my God, if I can just work with him, right? I can get him to do this and I can get him to do that. This is where the mad scientist thing to me is going to be so intriguing to watch, because the question to Phil's point is Kirk going to say, you know what? I've been told to throw caution to the wind. Because that's the question.
Well, Zimmer told him that very publicly at the beginning of last season, and Kirk kind of pushed back on it, and he disagreed with Mike Zimmer's philosophy there.
But O'Connell's going to give him the rims to do it. He's going to give him, like Mike said, take chances. O'Connell's going to say, take some chances, and here's what you're going to do.
Kirk is a nice newish. He's like my 2017 RAV4. Okay, he's like he's a nice car. He's not the Civic. He's not the Corolla. He's not a crap car that you ran into the ground. He's a nice car with some mileage on it, but should be getting out a lot more miles on it.
And I love that.
Can we be very clear that all of the cars that you said in crap do not go hand in hand? And if any of them would like to sponsor our various programs,
by all means,
I am all in.
I am as well. In fact, we had a long-time partnership with one of those companies, and we'd love them to come back here.
Exactly right.
So let's play this clip too, because I think I don't know why we haven't done. We need to get some shirts out here, but I don't know who's doing this. Thank you for spreading the word, the gospel of Purple Daily.
They love football. First and foremost, they love ball here. This thing is profoundly impacted on you the second you get here. And I got a T-shirt. I think somebody mailed me one once before I die. So that message is pretty clear. But I'll be honest with you, you don't come to these jobs just to be I have no dreams of being a general manager. I have dreams of being a great general manager on a team that does something special. So I don't really back down from those expectations. That's why we're here. And if I'm not able to do it, I won't be here long enough. But that's the goal.
Oh, and whoever's printing the Before I Die shirts is. Thank you.
I said Phil and Owen. I'm like, are we doing these shirts?
We should. We have this is kind of our staff. We have a couple other people behind the scenes, so we should get on that. And we will have some merchandise coming out later this summer. We're working on it.
Shout out Quasi though.
Quasi spreading the gospel of Purple Daily.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 2 here. So in that interview with Mike Florio, Quasi was asked about, hey, why did you guys? This team has been underachieving, and a lot of fans just feel like, okay, you're carving out the front office and the coaching staff, and you're running it back with a very similar roster. What gives you the confidence that you can just like take the same collection of players and just be better? And I'll paraphrase his answer, but he said a lot of fans and people are quick to want to blow up franchises, ignoring how hard it is to rebuild all of the assets that you still have. I mean, it's one thing if you're just garbage, but there's a lot of assets on this team, right? It's hard to rebuild all of those in a 3 to 5 year window. And that's a big part of why the Vikings chose a competitive rebuild, as he put it again in this interview. So what are your thoughts about, hey, it's blowing it up is too risky because who knows if we're going to hit on all the draft picks and stuff that we would need to, so let's keep some of the good pieces.
So I'd like to delve into what I would call also the philosophy of attrition here, because football is probably number one atop the list of sports in which the roster needs to be consistently churned, because guys age quickly, they get beat up. It's a terrible sport. So, like, I get what he's saying, but I think the problem is this. It's one thing to say, well, we like these guys and we've got equity, and you know what? Harrison Smith might have a few good years left. But let's take in particular, just to break this down, because I get what he's saying. But, Phil, let's take Eric Kendricks, okay? Because to your point, you brought up yesterday that PFF had Kendricks taking a huge step back last year. Mm-hmm. And it's not just well, he was in the wrong defense, he got screwed. It's a red flag. So where I think Quasi needs to be careful here is the attrition of the roster itself. Every time you bring a guy back, it's dog years. Football's dog years. Every time you bring a guy back, he's probably aged 3 years compared to like a baseball player, or more than that. So I get what he's saying. I get that you like certain players. I also understand, and you know what? Just go back every time. I mean, we could sit down with Quasi tomorrow and say, Quasi, we want to show you the cautionary tale of 2010. So without being a smartass, my answer to him would be, I get your point. It's a good point, but there is a differing point to be made here, and you have to be careful about how much of that you want to bring back.
So I don't think 2010 is an apples to apples, because that locker room stopped believing in the head coach, and it was time for the head coach to go. They almost would have been better off, and I know they're not going to do this after going to the NFC Championship game, but that team in 2010 might have had a better shot with a different head coach starting the season. I think what happened at the end of that, first of all, even at the peak of the Brad Childress run, when they were 12-4 and going to the NFC Championship game, it wasn't exactly kumbaya, right? The players kind of looked at him sideways even when they were winning with Brad Childress.
Right.
And then all that frustration and bringing the band back together and the coach, and there was just so much frustration left over. In this case, at least you're getting rid of the coach that had lost the locker room, and you're bringing in a fresh voice. So it's hard to compare 2010,
See,
I think, for that reason.
I think it's simple, though, because there were foundational mistakes made. And yes, the Childress thing blew up completely, and he made some bad mistakes himself. But I think the attrition is important to discuss, because that's what you have to be in this sport aware of every single year. So can you bring certain guys back? 100% you should. But can you say we like the foundation of our team and just blanket and say Thielen's back, Kendricks is back, Smith is back? You have to parcel every one of those players out. And I do think that they should have moved on from some, not all. And I think that's a problem in football that football people lose sight of, because they think what they're seeing is the truth. I'll give you a perfect one. Thielen could go right off the damn cliff. Like, there's a case to be made that he could go off the cliff. Kendrick, same thing. Harrison Smith, I think, is fine. But this is where you have to be extremely careful and calculated, and in some ways, very, very cold in the decision making of how much you bring back on a yearly basis.
Well, I will say that they do have some older pieces that look like they're on the verge of the cliff, and you are right about that. But on the younger side, they've got some really good young
Yes,
players signed to
absolutely.
great contracts, like rookie scale contracts
Yep.
at key positions, right? And I at this point, I wouldn't be opposed to paying Justin Jefferson in 2 years if you had a rookie scale contract quarterback to go along with him. But your left tackle looks like he's really good. He's locked up. Your right tackle's getting paid now, but he's like 25 or 26 years old. You got a couple other good young pieces along the offensive line. And defensively, you got a couple good young cornerbacks in Dantzler and Boone that you might be able to build around. You got safeties that are young. So Daniil Hunter's only like 26 years old. So it's not like they're just running back an old roster,
Right.
and it's all going to fall apart. They've got a nice blend of young and old, Dex.
And the 2022 Vikings aren't coming off the heels of going to the Super Bowl. Like the 09 Vikings were a play away from going to the Super Bowl. The 2020 and 2021 Vikings haven't sniffed the playoffs. So Judd's right to a degree that there are players and there's feelings of it, but I more side toward Phil. I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison, but there is a risk there of basically running it back with the core.
I just learned a lot from that experience about assumptions in football. Baseball, pretty much you're safe, right? Hockey, you're probably safe. Basketball, you're definitely safe. Football's the one where it can go south quickly unless you are to me, it's this. It's, do you have a consistent churn? It's the Belichick churn. The churn is very important.
I think they might have churned once too far by churning Tom Brady away from the Patriots.
Well,
but that's just me.
That's not. I don't
That's just
disagree
you.
with- I don't disagree with that
Question
at all.
number 3. We're at halftime of 4-Question Friday here. So before we get to question number 3, let's take a coffee break, Judd.
You've probably seen this mug that's been in front of my camera here for the last 2 weeks or so, and you're saying, what the heck is that? Is that Foley? Is that Folly? It is Folly Coffee, and it's fantastic. A local company with a simple mission of providing you the best coffee available, named the best online coffee retailer in the state by Corporate Vision Magazine. What is it? It's fully customizable coffee subscriptions to match how much coffee you drink in your favorite flavors, which means that when you're running low, guess what shows up on your doorstep, ladies and gentlemen? More Folly Coffee. All you have to do is go to follycoffee.com, as you can see right here, if you're watching, FOLLY.com. You use the code word SCORE at checkout for 10% off your initial order. Follycoffee.com, code word SCORE, 10% off.
Code word.
Code words.
Code words.
And by supporting Folly, you're also supporting SCORE North and allowing me to enjoy this delicious coffee.
Damn right. Also, hello to our friends at Dennis Kirk. The summer months are creeping up. That means riding season. If you like to get out and ride your Harley, your sport bike, whatever it is, Dennis Kirk has over 160,000 parts and accessories in stock, free shipping on orders over $89, and same-day shipping on orders placed before 8 p.m. Dennis Kirk. Ride more, wait less. DennisKirk.com. All right, question number 3. So, Judd told someone on Twitter this week that the Jaguars will have a better record than the Vikings this season.
No, I said that on our show. I think, and write that down.
Well,
You said they'd be above 500.
You said that people are piecing it together. You said the
Yes,
Vikings are going to be
exactly.
8-9 in your schedule prediction.
Correct.
And then you said the Jaguars would win 9 games on
Somebody
our show.
was being very attentive, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, we have accountability police officers circling around the show. So that's a pretty hot take that the Jaguars are going to be better than the Vikings this season.
Yep.
So besides that take, I want you guys to give me your hottest take about the 2022 NFL season.
Oh, I wasn't prepared for this one. I didn't get the questions like I ordinarily do.
Yeah.
I feel like I sent you guys the questions.
No, you didn't.
You didn't send
What?
the questions. You didn't
You
send the
didn't.
questions, and you caught me with
all
my
good.
boys down. My hottest.
No, wait, I did. I sent
Didn't
you the
send them to me.
questions.
I didn't see them.
Yeah, I didn't see him either.
We're gonna have to
Big controversy.
investigate my
Yeah.
Gmail. I don't know what's happening. Oh no, we got Gmail problems.
Big controversy.
Okay, I'll give you a few
Yeah, you
seconds to
give me
think here.
while I
Okay.
think about this. Thank you.
Okay. So my first one, I've already kind of thrown it out there, but and I am on the record and write that down. But I think Trevor Lawrence is going to jump into the top 15 NFL quarterbacks group this season, just like Joe Burrow did, and just like Justin Herbert did. And my second hot take is, I think the LA Chargers might go to the Super Bowl. I think that's a team
good hot
if
take.
their
That's
if
a
their
great
head
hot
coach doesn't sabotage them by going for every fourth down in situations where it doesn't make sense. I think the Chargers might be a team that pops up, and now that division's impossible. So can they sneak out of it with 10 or 11 wins or something? But the Chargers, not a lot of people are talking about the Chargers on that level. They're talking about the Chargers as, it's a good competitive team that might make the playoffs.
Right.
I think it might be better than that if they can emerge from that division.
Oh, I love that.
Those are a couple hot takes for you.
Okay, here's my hot take. The 49ers are doing some risky stuff here. I mean, Trey Lance, we don't know, like, he's gonna start, but we don't know. I feel like for the most part in the last few years, the Kyle Shanahan's teams have failed to do what was expected or is expected. And, he loves Kirk. Kirk's his guy, and he can't get Kirk. Kyle Shanahan, my hot take, will be fired after the season.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa,
That's
dude.
my hot take. Trey Lance will not be good. They're going to have a fall guy. It's not going to be Trey Lance. He ain't going to be the fall guy.
Whoa.
Kyle Shanahan, Johnny Lynch will show him the door because you're gonna have to have a fall guy if things don't go well.
Hot Take Cops is recorded on location with the men and women of sports talk. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in Hot Take Court.
I like that one. All right, Dax, what's your hottest NFL take for this year?
Tom Brady and the Buccaneers don't make the playoffs.
Whoa.
That's going to be my hot take.
That's
Tom
good.
Brady
I love
Who
it.
wins
and the
that division then?
Buccaneers
Saints?
do
You got the
not
Saints.
make the playoffs. And that's a crap division on paper, right? Like,
Yeah,
the
who wins
Falcons
it?
aren't going to be good.
It
the
would have
Panthers
to be
aren't
the
good.
Saints. It would
Probably
have
the
to be the
Saints.
Saints.
Probably the Saints. They're running it back. We just talked about running it back and the volatility of that and just the weird nature that something seems fishy with that Bucs offseason with Brady going back and forth, Arians, the whole fiasco
him in the
there.
back.
Yeah, just there's something weird brewing there. And even if you have the GOAT as your quarterback, the volatility there. So I'm going to say the Buccaneers miss the playoffs. There's your hot take.
I love that.
Dude.
Can I throw out if that takes place? Because Dex is right. That division's not good then. Can I throw out this? If the Carolina Panthers obtain Jimmy G, could the Panthers win the division? Like, it's not going to be that good. And Jimmy G, I don't know why, but in the regular season, dude wins.
Yeah, right now the Panthers are a 4-win team.
Oh,
right?
I think they're awful. But that's what, yeah.
And Matt
Does
Rule.
Jimmy G make them? But does Jimmy
don't know.
G
I
make
don't
them a
know.
9-win team? I don't know.
Probably not. It's not a hot take.
God, remember
I'm
when
just
they were
asking.
supposedly laughing at the notion of Kirk Cousins as
Yeah, because they're downplaying the fact they called the Vikings about him.
they for sure did, and I think at this point they would happily, desperately take Kirk Cousins over Sam Darnold. They whiffed. All right, question number 4 here. So old Macadac ran into a hornet's nest of D-Lo defenders on Timberwolves Twitter this week.
Mm-hmm.
We also know how adamant the Cousins Crusaders can be on the internet. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, God. I think I know where it's going.
So who is a non-elite athlete that you guys have been a stan for in your life?
Dude.
That you guys have...
The catalog is so deep here for me.
It is.
It's very
Dex
deep.
Loves the losers.
Well, I've told you it before, but I'll bring it back up because I think it's still the king of this. In fact, my friends in my group chat just pointed this out the other day. I was the biggest Kevin Cobb fan. I thought Kevin Cobb
weird.
was just going to be the truth, man. I think those were I think there's a tweet with those exact words that Kevin Cobb was going to be the truth. I was kind of a low-key Eagles fan. I liked Andy Reid and Don McNabb, and I thought McNabb was hitting over the hill, and I thought Kevin Cobb was the right choice to make over there. And then he was going to go to Arizona and ball out with Larry Fitz. And then he got like 9 concussions in 2 games and never played football again. I think of all my, and I have weird ones. I have Drew Lock. Is certainly up there. You know, Kevin Cobb is up there. What other terrible? Another one that got pointed out by my friends. I was a big Jake Plummer fan. Love me some Jake Plummer. In fact,
what?
actually,
the snake,
was
man.
good. The snake was good for a while.
Jake the
Don't-
Snake
don't
had
sell
a few
yourself
good
short.
Pro Bowl
Yeah.
seasons at least there.
Yeah.
But
Don't sell
I would
yourself short.
Kevin Cobb and look, Drew Lock's more of a bit. You know, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this thing called the bit. But that's just kind of a thing. But I would say Kevin Cobb takes it for me.
I used to have a show on a different radio station on Sundays called The Bit. I literally produced a 30-minute sports sketch comedy show early in my career. I should dig up some of those episodes for you.
Oh,
guys.
no, that's okay.
I find them very entertaining.
No thanks. Who's mine? God,
I'll
it's
get-
been,
I'll
it's been
let-
years since I've stand.
Oh, so you've been perfectly accurate on all of your player evaluations since then? You've
I'm
never
trying to think.
over-evaluated a
Oh
player.
no, I
in the
definitely
last-
have. But there's a difference between like Dex stands these guys. I just think they're going to be good. They're not, and then I'm just like, okay, whatever.
I'll give you a couple. I'll give you some from some different sports. So,
All right.
I think Joe Mauer is elite, and I stand for Joe Mauer for years and years.
But he was as a catcher. You were right.
But that's the thing. But like a lot of people
they're wrong.
the fact that I think he's elite, other people think he's not elite. That's the whole argument. Teddy Bridgewater a little bit, just a little bit. On the golf side, Declan and I both share this one. Ricky Fowler.
Oh God, Ricky, he burned me yesterday.
He was
on
making a
Underdog.
little bit of a run over the weekend too. It was like
He was,
Ricky's
man.
making a run.
He's lost his putter. He used to be one of the best putters in the game. He can't putt anymore.
It's bad. And then on the twin side, Oswaldo Arcia. I was a
that's a
huge
good one.
Oswaldo. I still feel like he never got a fair shake, man.
like there were
Never got
guys.
a
Yeah,
fair
that's
shake.
true.
Old Macadac and I have very similar ones there.
There's no hockey players that you thought, oh, this is the guy right here.
There's not some wild player, Judd, that
Oh, there's
came through the
gotta be.
pipeline.
Charlie, you loved Charlie Coyle for a little
Yeah.
bit. Big
Yeah, I
bodied
thought Charlie
forward.
Coyle would
Oh,
be
yeah.
a power forward. No, that's a good one. Yeah, there have been guys that I've thought are, but I'm trying to think of like the last one that I stand and then was wrong and it
You
was
didn't
actually
like-
like somewhat disappointed.
I know
Sounds
you.
like-
Go ahead, Dex.
Gam, like Latan Dress from the Wild. You didn't stand for Gui, or you didn't like. Is there some random
and like
slappy that?
Galchenyuk, who was weird, who'd look at you like really weird. I didn't stand for him. I did as a kid for like Vikings players. Like they drafted guys like what was his name? The running back from Penn State, DJ Dozier. Like, oh man, this guy's good. He's gonna be the next running back. And I mean, he sucked. So yeah, I mean, there have definitely been guys like that, but it's been a while since I've stand for a guy and held to it. I bail. I know this is going to shock you both. I bail pretty quickly.
Yeah, you're emotionally
fair weather.
distant from athletes. Well, we know that you stand
yeah.
for a certain type of beer. We know that for sure.
Oh God, this is a good point. But you know what? This one never let you down. Surly Brewing, and in particular, my favorite, the Surly Furious. The weekend is drawing near, so people are saying right now it's going to be gorgeous outside. You know what? It'd be great to go out to a deck, for instance, right? That's what Declan does, no pun intended. And you sit on the deck after a round of golf, and you say to yourself, "I want a cold one." Well, first of all, make it
Shot 100
something
today.
from the Surly family, and there are some great ones. And if you're like Judd, Surly Furious will, let's just say, quench that thirst. In fact, I might be going out later today to enjoy a couple.
You would.
Enjoy them responsibly, but enjoy them nonetheless. Surly Brewing.
Shout out to our friends at Federated Insurance too. So they have they've raised $44 million for Big Brothers Big Sisters since 2005, and coming up later this summer, the Federated Challenge, which helps raise a lot of money for Big Brothers Big Sisters. If you're interested in finding out more about the great work Big Brothers Big Sisters does when it comes to mentoring children who just need a little extra help in life, you can go to federatedchallenge.org and find out if you want to become a big yourself, if you want to support in some other way. Federatedchallenge.org is where you can go to find out more information. So that is your 4-question Friday here on Purple Daily. Daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.